Okay, there we go. Greetings, gaming community. Know those who are watching. This is Fox Gamer 39609 making yet another YouTube video. As you can see, it's not really a gaming video this time. Rather, it's just me sharing what's on my mind. So I thought about doing this for a while now. You know, going back to the vlogs, but this time just me talking. In fact, since it's just me talking, I might as well take the headset off. Since sometimes it does hurt my ears. Anyways, so there's been a lot of things that have been going on lately, and what I mean by that is like some of the things that I've come across, especially when it comes to well, advertisements and stuff like that. So I noticed that while I was working, and sometimes when I'm watching videos on YouTube, I'm seeing ads for for programs that didn't go very well. And but to be clear, to be clear about this, the one that I saw in particular was, of course, the Snow White movie. Now, I'm going to say at this point, I'm not jumping on the I hate Rachel Zegler train. I'm not interested in that because, for one thing, that's already said by other people. Let them say their piece, and I'll just go about my day. What this is actually more about is the fact that they're still lobbying for its popularity, or rather, not lobbying. They're still talking it up, still hyping up the movie, and I'm only surprised by this because, sorry, because looking back at it, the movie, as I was told, rated a 1.9 on IMDb. Now, for context here, the many years ago there was a Dragon Ball Evolution live action movie. Well, a Dragon Ball movie called live action called Dragon Ball Evolution, and that movie, it was, there's no good way to say this, it was terrible. And I know this because I've seen it. Now, to be fair to Snow White, I hadn't seen that one because I wasn't ready to. Because the problem is, when it comes to live actions, a lot of times it's hit and miss. And of course, it's a Disney live action, so it's still kind of iffy. Anyways, so Dragon Ball Evolution rated higher than Snow White, which for one thing, it's a little bit surprising and not at the same time because, well, based on the things that I've heard about it, especially with certain choices that Disney decided to make, which is actually something else that I do intend, well, that I was thinking about and I do intend to address. So, Disney has a habit of introducing woke culture, as many of us know. And for some things, I guess it's good to insert that at least a little bit. But if that becomes your main platform, you alienate so many other people that become potential viewers. Because the problem is, people don't look at woke culture most of the time as something that's good. They see it as something that's annoying and all in your face, especially. Now, here's my opinion on the whole woke thing. If that's how you feel, fine. I'm not going to try and change your mind because I'm not influential enough to even make the attempt. And honestly, I don't even know how to change your mind because I'm not that well informed. And that's the thing too. It's actually a discussion that I've had with my coworker at my day job several times over, because he and we talk about how people don't really listen now. It's always just, not always, it's most of the time just my way or the highway. And it doesn't work like that. Because, there's always going to be people that disagree. And it just doesn't work out that way. You know? I lost my point for a second. 'Cause he and we have frank discussions about different opinions, and we share quite a bit of the same opinions, especially when it comes to other people's opinions. And when I say that, I mean, like, because people try to force, there are many people that have tried to force opinions onto others, and it just doesn't work like that. In my case, when I share my opinions, I try to leave the the discussion open. And when other people wish to share their opinions, I stop and I listen, because I genuinely don't know what everyone goes through, and I'm curious as to how they get into this sort of mindset that they're in. You know? And I feel like as a society around the globe, we've kind of forgotten that. Because now people are getting so up in arms to either be offended by everything or to be, I don't know, I guess, I'm not sure what the word is, but sort of just looking for ways to oppose that. But either way, it just turns into this ridiculous fight that people have gotten themselves into, which is not something that I tried to take part in. And I said this multiple times, I believe. When it comes to controversy, I don't really try to look into it, because the problem is when people look for a fight, most of the time they end up getting more than what they bargained for. And again, it's not really changing anything. It's just, stirring up trouble for the sake of stirring up trouble, which I don't find very enjoyable. In fact, I find it very unpleasant. Now, I will admit sometimes I do delve into the drama stories, but that's mostly to stay informed as to the situation. I don't really have enough information myself to formulate an opinion, so I try to listen to both sides equally. I act as sort of the neutral party. But even with some topics in the world, it's like taking the neutral side is like you're taking the other sides to some of these people. Which isn't to say it's all of them, because it isn't. Like, I have friends who are vegetarians and vegans and something like that, but, I'm not. I'm an omnivore and I enjoy protein and stuff like that. But they're not all up in my face about it. They understand, this is my life choice, and, I've accepted that. And that's kind of with me, like, this is your life choice, I've accepted that, and we can still be friends. It's that simple. For most people, I'll admit. But it's sometimes like people don't want it to be that simple. And of course, this is all coming up as while I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how low, like how much people are advertising for programs that are very terrible. Which is kind of funny too, because I also thought in the past when this game, Fruit Ninja. They did an event which was supposed to like be a thing for Ghostbusters, the one with the ladies, which I actually enjoyed. of course, my opinion is kind of kind of moot at that point because I hadn't seen the original. Well, actually, that's not true. I have seen the original. I just haven't seen all of the original. Just bits and pieces. So most of the time when I enjoy an original, I only enjoy. Oh, sorry. Most of the time when I enjoy a remake, it's partially because I haven't seen the original. And there are many cases like that. But then there's also movies that, they create a hidden meaning into the program. And they try to create a message. So what exactly is on your mind? Well, I was just talking about it, like different movies, Chesapeake, and different programs and stuff like that. And also, how people that you had a conversation with someone and you both had a disagreement. No, it's not really. I had a conversation with someone and we both had a disagreement. That's not the case. It's I had a conversation with someone and I listened to their opinions, and then I come across people from the other side and I listen to their opinions too. When I go into conversations, I don't immediately start off with my opinions. I'm curious about what their opinions are, and I listen. I don't necessarily take one side or the other because I don't know enough to do so. So, like, that was kind of my point. But, anyways, what I was saying with the. Sorry. Every time I try and speak, there's something in my throat that always blocks it. Anyways, what I was saying about movies that create a hidden message behind the story or they're based off of something. Now, I don't mind that. It's actually really great storytelling. Gotcha, that's how I feel when it comes to specific opinions. Yeah. Because, like I said, people don't listen very well. Like, most people don't like to listen to opinions that they don't agree with. Which, I'll admit, if I come across an opinion that I don't agree with, it's a struggle for me to listen to. But that doesn't mean I don't. In fact, if I struggle with that opinion, I'm going to try as much as I can to power through it. It's like with my friends. There's a group of friends that I regularly play a tabletop game. I feel we don't listen very well to a certain extent. Yeah. That is very much the case. Especially if it's something they're not interested in. Also true. Well, the problem is, when we don't listen, it doesn't help with understanding. And like I was saying, with my group of friends that I regularly play a game with every week, they have certain opinions that I kind of struggle with. And it's not really so much that I don't agree with it, it's just the topic itself does make me a little bit uncomfortable, but I still power through it because, I'm not going to block out opinion. Well, I try not to block out other opinions, other subjects that I don't want to talk about. So, and admittedly, there are moments where in life I struggle to stay with the topic. But part of it is because there's certain personal things that have made me uncomfortable addressing the topic. Like, for example, if you personally knew me, you know that I have an issue with discussing things like cannabis or weed or stuff like that. The reason for that, politics is a big one. Everyone has their own opinions, and that's why I try my best to butt out unless it involves me directly. Well, that's another thing too. I don't like to address politics because it feels too divisive, unless it's again with the coworker that I had regular discussions with, because he's not the type to force opinions on anyone else either. He just listens, and we just have frank discussions, and that's really it. It's just simple stuff. But the problem is with other groups of people, I don't like discussing the politics because it sounds a little bit like the opinions might be misinformed. I'm not entirely sure. But at the same time, I don't have enough details myself because I don't watch the news, because I don't have access to the news. And when I was saying about the cannabis thing, which I still struggle to talk about, in the past I used to say that I've lost friendships over it, but that was not the case. At least, if it was the case, I don't remember. It's just I felt bad about laughing at the jokes because I feel like I wasn't taking the issue seriously. But in my younger years, I kind of I used to be one of those people that if you disagree with me, get lost, that sort of thing. Which is not how to approach any situation, and it took me a little bit to figure out that how I was going about things, I looked incredibly stupid. And I looked rude and insulting, and that's not the type of person I want to be. Politics is very diverse, and everyone has the sources that are very strictly left or right. It's also common with myself, who suffers from social anxiety. I suffer with that to an extent as well. I mean, not really sure if it's social anxiety so much, actually, or rather if it's just me being awkward. Because I do have a social disconnect. Sometimes I step away because I prefer to be alone. Other times I do need human interaction, so it feels better. So it feels less awkward and less uncomfortable. So, it's kind of peaks and valleys. Again, some of the subjects I don't discuss because they're either so inflammatory that I'm forced to provide an opinion one way or the other, depending on the people I discuss it with, or I'm accused of supporting the other side. Which isn't true. I'm not really taking a side one way or the other, like I mentioned, because I don't have enough details. I can't really formulate an opinion whether I'm agreeing or disagreeing because I don't know that much. And people keep forcing me to take a side in so many subjects that I have to step away. Otherwise, it just becomes a struggle for everyone, and I can't really deal with that very well. But then, of course, there's the past issue. That makes sense to me. Yeah. But that was another thing too. When I was younger, I used to address some of these subjects, head on. I used to ask people, like sometimes about their political opinions, which, looking back, I feel like an idiot for doing so because of how I was addressing it. Like at the time, it was to gauge opinions, but at the same time, it was just like, why? Like, why am I doing this? I felt stupid for doing it. No one should force you to take any side. You're entitled to your own opinion, even if it's not shared with the public. Yes, thank you. Exactly. But, some of the subjects, like I said, I don't address because it reminds me of how I used to be. Because as uninformed as I see myself, am I familiar with... to an extent, yes, I'm familiar with masking. It's going to take a minute for a second because then there's going to be more. But yeah, I am familiar with masking. Oh, no, that's the wrong thing. Sorry, I'm playing too much details. So, anyways, yeah, like how I used to be is I used to be extremely set in my opinions and I struggled to listen to others. And it made me sound unapproachable. It made me feel like I was worse than I am, you know? Which again, like I said, it's not a good way to approach uh, conversations or things like that. Because while it is good to have an opinion on something, own pry mask at work, everyone's like, you're such a BA. Where in reality I hide my shell quite often. Yeah, that's another thing too. It's, it gets exhausting over time. Exactly, yes. That's how I feel sometimes as well. Because when I go through life, when I go into these discussions, you know, I feel like I have to listen and I have to put on this face that's not really my face because I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I just let them assume that that I'm taking their side when in reality I want to understand their side more and I don't want to start anything that's can make things uncomfortable. Because I have many friends who are very much politically left, and you know I struggle with some of the opinions of the left side, but I understand. You know, I get it. At the same time, I also have friends. Well, it's also with. I'm not sure if I should address this, but I'm just going to try as gently as I can with gender identity. Now, when I was growing up, it was male and female, but now they have other gender identities like male, female, neither or both or not, like or other. I know. On one hand, don't need to. Yeah. On one hand, you know, I get the like I understand not feeling comfortable with the identity or not feeling comfortable with your own skin. So I get wanting the transition, like Christian Jenner, okay then Jenner, sorry, and and a few others like Teddy Geiger, who is in. We're in a confusing time. It's a highly difficult topic to discuss. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but also that closer to I like politics. Yeah, you're telling me. Well, this one's especially inflammatory because you know it's not even a physical change. It's more of a social change. Like I have friends right now who, like, if you examine the physicalities of male and female, yeah, especially down to the salazine, to say the genitalia. Well, it doesn't always align with the gender identity that they go with. And if they choose to do that, then fine. I'm not going to stop them from identifying as a certain way. Like, I don't feel that's within my right to do so, so I won't. If you choose to identify as male or female in social status only and not in physical appearance, okay. And that's it. That's really all there is to it, like with me. And the same thing with the sexual identity, too. Like, I don't even care about my own sexual identity, so I'm not going to be overly bothered or overly concerned with yours. If if that was the right way to say it. If that sounded unkind, I do apologize. What I mean to say is, I didn't see the identity thing as such a big deal with me discussing to someone else. That is their choice, and I will let them stick with it. My only issue is the confusion with the lack of pronouns or terminology. Because now we have to make up a whole new set of words to comply with the other. Like when I was watching season 3 of Critical Role, you're fine. Thank you, Chesapeake. Thank you. Anyways, when I was watching Critical Role season 3, there was a word that I saw in the subtitles and heard in the episode, Emprex, which, is to find the middle ground between Emperor and Empress. Because Emperor is identifying the male ruler. Empress is the female ruler. Emperex is the gender neutral ruler. Which honestly, Emperex, I think is absolutely cool. It sounds it sounds more intimidating than it probably should, but I still like it because it sounds amazing. But then there's the other one that I had to come across in college. Because when I grew up, it was Latinos and Latinas. But now it's Latinx. Which, Emperex sounds cool. Latinx, it didn't. It sounded a little bit silly. It's just, it sounded like, I don't know, it didn't sound fitting with an identity. But I think Latine works better. If it's spelled the same way, then I just was given the wrong pronunciation, and I do apologize. But Latinx, it doesn't sound right. Then there's also the Jim thing, which, I will comply with that sort of pronoun identification because it's more commonly known and it's somewhat easier to give. But the problem is, male, female, gender neutral. We need something for the gender neutral, I feel like, because it feels too broad. It doesn't feel. It's a new word. It's hard to say in our vocabulary. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just sounds it doesn't sound right with the English pronunciation. I imagine with the Spanish-speaking people and their pronunciation, it sounds a lot better. But that's not the one that I grew up. Well, it's not the one that I was given. Unless it was, in which case I risk making myself look silly again. But it's like that sort of thing. It's, And again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do this. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have opinions of our own. I'm just saying, I struggle to understand them, and I'm trying to get better at it. It's not easy for some people to do so. And then, of course, when you get things wrong, people get so judgmental. Which, again, I used to be one of those people. At least I felt like I used to be one of those people. And, it's a time that I'm not happy about. But all I can really do about it is just move on. Just make life better going forward. And it's easy for some things. Like, I'm able to go to others and I'm able to have frank discussions with them after we've had a blowout, because I'm more than willing to be the first person to apologize for my mistakes. If I think I'm in the wrong, I will say I'm sorry. That's always my thing. And even if I don't think I'm in the wrong, sometimes I say sorry anyways, because fighting over petty bullshit is not exactly it's not exactly worth some of the loss of friendships or whatnot. Now, when I say petty bullshit, I mean like actually stuff that doesn't really matter in the long term. If it's a major deal, like certain controversies, then I can understand having such strong opinions about them. Me, I don't really have opinions strong enough to fight to that extent. Because I try to understand, both sides of the arguments, because, I don't know what's made the other person think this way. But it's hard to deal with some people, especially like when I was in college. It felt like I was walking on eggshells most of the time. Because, like, especially during 2020, which was my third year in college. It was during the election year. No, sorry, 2016 was my third year of college. I'm older than you think. It was during the election year, and there was a person outside outside in the courtyard with a sign, speaking her protest against. By the way, again, full disclosure, I live in the United States, so when I say elections, I do mean like American elections for the president of the United States, which back in 2016 was Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I remember seeing the videos all about that, some of which were funny, like the epic rap battles of history video was Clinton versus Trump, which I actually enjoy. I highly recommend watching it, despite loss of relevance now, if there is any. Anyways, this person was outside in the courtyard with a sign of protest. I'm not going to say what the sign was because I was going to say I always look forward to the ERP. Oh, ARB. We both messed up on that one, Chesapeake. But yeah, like in cases like that, it's just entertainment, and I don't really see it as anything harmful. It's just parody, which again, people don't really, take as just simple parody. They take it as, you're saying this about me, you're being mean, you're being bullied, I feel discriminated against. Which in some cases is not the truth. Like, that's not really what's going on. It's just the parody, it's nothing personal, that's just it. And we tend to overlook that. And I think it's one of the things that I complained about in my previous videos when you could see my face. Not this face, but I believe I've talked about it. But it's just it's just a struggle going through life. Just thinking about it. Show it to Ari, what's up? Hello, Show it to Ari, welcome to the stream. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Just having a little bit of a discussion, just talking into the void, I guess. Because I used to do this with video game. Well, actually, no, that's not true. When I first started this, it was just me talking, as I'm doing right now. Nothing else going on in the background, just my voice, and that's it. But nowadays, well, lately I've been doing it while playing a mind-numbing game like I don't know, like Minecraft, or lately, like with the last one, Suika. Okay. Yeah, just having a little bit of a discussion. Parts of it can be read in the chat if you do get lost. And that's another thing too. Like, I feel like people tend to. Well, actually, no. It's not. I feel like people tend to. It's some people actually have. Uh, like gotten an inflated ego because of popularity or whatnot, and they tend to misuse it quite a bit. you know, and sometimes they just, when they jump into an opinion, they sound very misinformed, or they sound like they just read the title and ran with it. And for me, that was how I did a lot of things as well. But but anyways, I never really intended for this video to be very long, so this was pretty much going to be it. I was surprised I was able to keep it up for this for this long. Yes. Must be a delay or something, I guess. Either that or I'm not tracking the conversation very well. Anyways, I think I've run out of topics to discuss. Though I will say this, I do intend to get into streaming more, since in the past I was very active with if anyone wants to speak your mind, you can reach me on thank you, Chesapeake. I will try to do that. That's another thing that I actually do struggle with, reaching out to people, because the problem is, in the past I did have some people who wanted my attention, and I was happy to give it to them online, so I kept myself open online like that. But now I feel like if I stay online on something for too long and I have a discussion with anyone, it feels overwhelming, I guess. It's kind of like with Twitter, or as I call it, X Fetish now. And in case you're wondering why I call it that, it's because that's what Elon Musk has, and there's nothing more representative of that than Twitter, because he renamed the app X. Everything model-wise has an X in it. Even his freaking kid, XAE12. Enough with the X, mate. But, sorry, just had to get that one off my chest. Anyways, what I was saying, I struggle to sometimes maintain a presence online, especially on social media, because of a bad experience. I'm worried that I start to get into a interaction overload, so I have to disconnect occasionally. It's also it's something that I still struggle to this day, and I struggle very badly with. I'm trying to fix it, but no, there's only so much that I can do it. So if you happen to be watching this stream in the future, and you're one of these people that I've reached out to, but we don't talk as much online as we probably want to each, that's the reason why. It's nothing to do with any of you. It's purely me, and there's a struggle that I'm still dealing with. I'm trying to power through it, and he said Trump. He said Trump to shut your mouth. I mean, not exactly. Although I do enjoy the John Oliver bits where apparently Trump's original name is Trump. Saying it out loud still makes me laugh. Like Donald Trump. It, it doesn't sound right. Oh yeah, I remember that. X. Yeah. Exactly. But anyways, Donald Dump. Not quite. Hang on. I'll add a text for a second. Is it image? No, it's not that. It's I will drag it out eventually. So Donald. No, Drumpf. It's that. Kaz, hi, what is this? Hello. It's hello to you too, Kaz. This is just me talking, really. Where's the... Oh wow. It's a quiet and an achievement, something you can brag about. Not sure what I can brag about, really. So yeah, there's what's funny is this started about a discussion involving movies of the past, which is actually kind of something sad to look back at, especially when it comes to you know, producing companies like Disney, because my first wince at something Disney related came when they purchased the Star Wars franchise. Now, anyone who knows me knows I'm a massive fan of Star Wars, but at the same time, when I saw that LucasArts sold to Disney, I felt worried, to put it kindly. And then Episode 7 came out, and it was actually pretty good. Then came The Last Jedi, and I went into it like, oh boy, I'm so excited to watch this. And then I saw it, and I wanted to cry. Because it was the first Star Wars media that I ever disliked, and I hated how much I disliked it. Because, you know, the problem was it went too fast with the plots, and it got rid of the wrong people at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, you laugh. I'm not sure if you're watching this live right now, if you're really behind and just catching up. Yeah, when Disney bought Star Wars, I agree with this. As well, you probably should. Which again, I'm not saying that you need to agree that Disney messed up Star Wars, but I am saying that for me personally, did Disney make that canon? I mean, probably, but that's the issue too, because a lot of people complain that they made Rey like a Mary Sue character. My complaint was, you know, they got rid of characters too quickly. Admittedly, yes, episode 7 felt like a repeat of episode 4. Yeah, that's the one we were just discussing at first with its glaring issues. Well, we didn't really discuss the issues themselves, more that it had so many that it earned a rating less than Dragon Ball Evolution, which is the only movie I will say was bad because of the acting. Because the delivery from Goku, it's like, he will kill you, and Bulma, and Yamcha. He will destroy everything. I need to somehow. Like, it sounded choppy. It's like he was still reading from the script. And it was the first movie to ever make me look at a movie and say, this was bad. I wish I could say it was the last, but unfortunately I can't because there's others that came out later on that I hated. Yep. Yeah. And, ew. Yeah, ew. I agree. Well, not really ew, but, just the eye roll. It's just so sad. But then there are other movies that came out, like not even just by Disney, but by other companies too. But Disney has produced a lot of unfortunate things lately. Like especially with the Star Wars programs, the only good things now that Disney has made regarding Star Wars lately is the shows, and even then sometimes it's hit and miss. Like the Acolytes, I couldn't even get past the pilot episode. I tried, couldn't, and it rewrote the 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 plots, the canon for the original six. And I say original six because I'm not sure if I still want to address 7, 8, and 9. Because of personal reasons and copium. Now I get it. When Disney owns something, they have the right to change certain things. Like when they own Star Wars, they have the right to nix the stuff that came before and say it wasn't canon. Like my favorite video game series, Knights of the Old Republic. They've said that's not canon, which I would have to disagree, purely out of copium, because that's my favorite game of all time. And, with the problem is, like with the latest shows, the Acolytes is the only one that strays from the original timeline. The Empire and Clone Wars timeline. Everything else is nestled deep within that. Like, the show Ahsoka is after Vader dies, if I remember correctly. And the Book of Boba Fett, so Boba Fett I think it's called, is again after Vader dies, and it's just Boba Fett on Tatooine. The Mandalorian, again, after Vader dies. Obi-Wan, that's clearly after Anakin becomes Darth Vader. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the series. That one I can appreciate especially because, for one thing, it brought back together Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, so it was like seeing an old friend from years past. But again, I digress. Like that one, I was told was really amazing, but there were lots of other programs that were kind of hit and miss, and so like for the most part, I do blame the director or the writer, like with the travesty that was The Last Airbender. I don't want to acknowledge its existence, especially with M. Night Shyamalan, because that was so abysmally bad. Am I into anime and stuff? Yes, I am into anime and stuff. Yeah. And I do enjoy that, especially. In fact, one of the channels on YouTube that I watch is specifically for anime review, so I can, like, I don't have to guess whether or not I would like a program or not, because for me, I enjoy spoilers. I like when people tell me what happens. Because just because they tell me what happens doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy it anyways. Because I can still formulate in my own mind what it's going to be like. So, even if it doesn't really comply with what they've mentioned, I'm still excited to see how it plays out. Of course, that being said, I do sometimes struggle to wait, you you enjoy spoilers too? Usually I'm alone in that regard, but I'm happy someone else is in that same boat with me. But yeah, like, I don't mind when people tell me what happens or when people give me the true story. However, there's some choices that movie people make. I do too. Now I know that. Anyways, there's some choices that movie people make which I have to question, especially, considering media that's already made. Kind of like with the Harry Potter series. When the books were made into movies, which skyrocketed careers. And now HBO is coming out with Harry Potter series with all new casts starting over. Now, what I pictured for that was this was going to be voice actors and it was going to be animated, which I think would actually work better because that way you comply with how the author originally wrote the story at first. No. This is going to be another live action series, but that's not enough to deter me from watching it, and see how it plays out. I will say, though, quick side notes, what would have been really amazing is if Jared Harris was brought in to play Dumbledore because his father, Richard Harris, was the original. Little fun facts for you. But no, actually, it's John Lithgow. Which, credit where credit is due. John Lithgow is a good actor. And I do enjoy seeing many of the things he's in as well. Now, again, that I don't mind. What gets weird for me, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't do this, it's their choice. What I will say is weird is the fact that Snape is now black. Well, is now played by Papa Essiedu. And the only weird thing, the weird thing for me especially, is Snape's described as pale, I think, black greasy hair, ugly, ugly man. Which, that description alone can deter many from choosing to play Snape. Yeah, ugly, ugly man. But the problem is, if you've read the books, spoiler alert, by the way, in the previous book, like in Order of the Phoenix, there's a scene in the movie and moments in the books, I imagine too, that cover Snape being bullied by James and Sirius. Like, he's constantly picked on by those guys. And it paints him in a bad light. Like, it paints the whole moment which we all know is going to be coming because if it's based off of the books, especially, then it's most likely a scene that they're going to include because it's a significant moment because it gives us a look into what James was like when he was a student and he was a prick. Because he even mocked Lily as well in the school years. But anyways, like especially if you look at it now, people are going to look at it as, oh my god, like James was a racist because Papa Hessiodo is black, and I imagine, I don't know if this is going to be the case, but I imagine James and the others are going to be white. You know? And my guess, I'm not sure if it was a decision made to, give Snape a more redeemable face, or to make people feel bad. But reading the book and picturing it in your mind just hit different. Yeah, it does admittedly hit different, especially if you, especially depending on how much you read into it. But it's also what I was talking about earlier. There are many people that jump to conclusions that they probably shouldn't. Considering what those conclusions may lead to. Like, people don't always pay attention, and most of the time they're very quick to judge, which again, as I said in the past, was something that I used to be as well. But again, I've done my best to try and listen to both sides of the arguments and understand people a little bit easier. It's not easy, but it helps create understanding, and judgment can just lead to conflict if you don't have a clear idea. But that's also sort of the thing. Like, again, with people don't have patience. Well, yeah, I understand that. And that's sort of the issue. Like, a lot of people don't want to take the time to listen nowadays, yeah. Especially nowadays, people don't want to take the time to listen. Which is why I feel like the woke thing can sometimes be a problem, especially if it's spoken by the wrong people. And when I say the wrong people, I mean the people that, would take things way too far. And the problem is it gets in the way of us enjoying things. Like, when I watch programming on YouTube or movies, or even when I'm playing a video game, I'm not doing it to get a dose of reality. I'm doing it to escape reality for a brief period. Because sometimes reality can be so depressing. I need something to take my mind off of the sad moments. Just have a little moment where I can just relax and not think of the dark things spiraling in my head, because Lord knows I have enough of those already. And just, take time to have a little bit of fun. So I don't always look for these hidden messages that are within the subscript of the videos, rather hidden meanings that are in the videos. Sometimes I just look at them, for what they are. A piece of entertainment. Yep. That's just... and I will admit, sometimes when I go onto YouTube, I do watch certain videos that tend to have a more serious tone. Like, one of the channels that I watch regularly is Internet Anarchist. And what he does is he covers some moments of debate and controversy, especially with what certain YouTubers and certain companies have done. like a few of his latest ones, he's addressed the Ellen situation. And when I say Ellen situation, I mean Ellen DeGeneres. For those of you that don't know, I recommend you look it up. I'd rather not say it on here. But that's my point. Like, that's mostly the only time where I go to watch something serious or something based in reality. Something that might not make me happy. But aside from that, most of what I watch is just for entertainment. And if I'm watching something that's not for entertainment, but I'm still watching it, it's because I'm still stuck in the story and I can't pull myself away when I need to, because it can also ruin my day. Again, that's what video games and books and movies, especially music, can be for. I usually watch BBC Earth, but YouTube recommendations showed you, and I'm kind of enjoying. Oh, how nice! Well, just so you know, this isn't the only form of content I actually do, thankfully. In fact, most of my content is actually gameplays, especially with other people. Some of which I will be deleting because the quality is not there. I play World of Warcraft and listen to ASMR. Ooh. ASMR, that's your skill. Yeah. The World of Warcraft I knew about, but the ASMR I didn't know about. And, it's nice that ASMR helps so many people. For me, it just sets my teeth on edge because the problem is the whispering creeps me out. It's just in my ears and I just want to rip them out of my head. And like it reaches parts of my soul, parts of my mind that I'd rather not touch. if that makes sense. But yeah, but my primary escape is also through music. Which, if you also know me, I am a massive music guy. I practically live and breathe music because I was raised on it for 18 years. Well, raised playing it for 18 years. ASMR gets me. Excuse me while I go get the horny bat. I'm kidding. I love it. Goodness grief. Well, this took a strange turn. But anyways, with music, I sort of, because of ASMR, you'll... ASMR, you're watching. Ah, good God. Well, I'm curious. I'm not... What the hell? Shrek ASMR movie by GB ASMR. Great. Oh, God. Well, that's horrifying. Wow, I am learning a lot about people. Wow. Yeah, anyways, with music, I sort of just listen to it and let my mind wander and create its own little world. Especially if I'm walking around around my city. Even if the weather is terrible, I still put in music to listen to as I go around, because it creates a better mood. It creates a happier mood, I guess, for me. Orby movie, it's glorious. Twitch. I haven't really spoken too much. Welcome to the snippets of my weird. I'm assuming you're talking with the chat, Chesapeake, because you and I speak quite often. Although probably not as much as we should. I do apologize. Well, anyways, I just kind of spaced now. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for now. I've kind of run out my voice and I have other things to get to today, so unfortunately, this was going to be where I'm signing out. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you appreciated my videos. If you like, you can like, you can comment, you can share this video if you want. You can subscribe to my channel or search my channel, find my videos like this. And with my 2 jobs and 2 kids, been a wild ride. Yeah, I can imagine. Where was I? Can share this if you want. Okay. If you have any questions, you can comment below. If you have any suggestions for videos, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Discord, FoxGamer39618. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to try and get back more into streaming. I do intend to do more PC stuff. Maybe get back on my console. But sorry about last week. It was kind of rough. That's why I hadn't done anything. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks so much. This is Jasper Fox signing out. Cheers and stay foxy.